Hey everybody, Ken Coscia here, creator of the Silva Life Mastery System, lead trainer and international training director for the Silva Method. I am so glad you're here because today I have a huge topic for you: perspective. It has been determined that our point of view, in fact, you've heard the expression probably more times than you want to remember. When you change your point of view, you change your life. Well, I don't mean to sound mystic on you or go mystic. We're going to look at the science behind that. And I also want to offer you a couple of takeaways about the sole determinant of your success, your performance, be you an entertainer, a singer, a salesperson, an entrepreneur building a business, wanting to enrich in your relationship, taking off a little bit of weight, anything, any area of self-improvement, even professional improvement. This is essential. In fact, in psychology, we call it the point of power. So we're going to look at 4 steps that comprise this principle and what you can do about it in order to maximize your results. So when you change your point of view, you change your life. What does that mean exactly? Well, it's really about perspective, isn't it? So let's take a look. You know as well as I do, in fact, perspective, right? Everything we do is a matter of our viewpoint. This is indeed what we call the point of power. Why? Why is that? Well, I may be preaching to the choir and you know this, but as Brendan Bouchard once said, just because it's common sense doesn't mean it's common practice. Just because you know something, I know something, doesn't always mean that we utilize it. So my hope today is to clarify, go a little bit deeper into this, and serve as a good, strong, friendly reminder about the importance of watching your point of view and minding it. So what do we know? We know that in life, it happens, right? The big S. What is that? Can you guess? That's right. Stuff. Stuff happens. It's invariable. It's bound to happen. Even the most fortunate of men and women experience life events, stuff, crap, whatever you want to call it. And some of these life events are within our control. Some of them are not. And yet, the perspective we take, the interpretation, the value we place on that life event truly is the sole determinant of whether it becomes a mishap, a screw up, a decline in business, or an opportunity to grow and gain an extra added edge. Again, perspective is what it takes. So stuff happens, right? That life event, so what we're looking at is, what we want to look at is this life event. Invariably, they happen. We know, even the most fortunate of us. And yet we know that the way we look at those life events, I like my cards, high tech today, right? The value we place on it, the interpretation. For example, I couldn't resist today. I'm out here on my deck recording this. It's still early spring. And if you look behind me, you can see a lot of seemingly dead growth, not much, life out there. Wait, in later videos I'll be taping, it'll come to blossom and bloom in the rich green color of the woods that I'm blessed to have here as part of my property. It's invariable. We go through the seasons. It's one of the things I love about living in New England. Invariably, we have the 4 seasons. We just went through winter, right? Snow's coming down. We had, at least here in New England, a little bit more snow than we've had in the past couple of years. So for the farmer next door who does the plowing, yay, let it snow. For the young children who have to go to school, yay, let it snow, school's out. But for the professionals, the doctors, other professionals who need to rain, snow, sleet, or hail, climb that mountain, drive up the mountain and get to the OR 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning. It's no joke for them. It's a bit of drudgery. So the way we place on the life event, the way we look at it. Let me give you an example about the point of power. If you're involved in marketing, you're building a business, you understand this. It's all about what? Perspective, perception, the way people look at things. So a number of years ago, I was giving a presentation, doing some emotional intelligence work for the state of Connecticut, one of their unions. And we had a breakout for lunch, great, fantastic buffet. And there's a local caterer providing the food. It's delicious. We all loved it. It's interesting what happened. As we're waiting in line, gathering the food, and some were coming back for more, one of the guys turned to his buddy and said, "Whoa, this has got to be the greatest, best tasting chicken McNuggets I've ever had." The caterer, who was providing the food, an independent business person, heard this and said, "Whoa, I beg your pardon, please. You're not eating chicken McNuggets. Those are medallions of chicken cooked in a white wine sauce." Well, you know as well as I do, that's all perception, isn't it? You can charge a lot more. It's called branding, isn't it? I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, understand that. The same holds true with us in our lives. I've been doing this work for this year, 46 years. I love it. It's my passion. I feel I was born to do this. I am so privileged and blessed to have found at the ripe age of 20, I was the youngest Silva method instructor in the world. Now I'm the most experienced. I'm the lead guy. Wow, what a blessing. And yet, as much as I have a passion for it, as much as I've worked with hundreds of thousands of people, I've traveled the world, I've had my share of struggles too. We all do. Come on. Even when we're practicing and making every effort. I can remember, just as an example, in 1980, my wife is pregnant. We purchased our first home and my business tanked. I found myself, now looking back, in a very small territory. We have territories. Not really enough to monetize your business, to build it and support a family. Well, I learned that the hard way. Few years of that. Well, what did I do? I went out and I diversified and I did some other things. In fact, what I did was I waited tables and I loaded trucks for UPS to keep cash flowing. And this went on for a few years while I was building the business. But rather than, it was frustrating. It wasn't fun, but I did it. And I had a choice. If I had turned and said, "Oh, woe is me, this sucks, what am I going to do?" it would have gotten worse. Because that point of view, the perception, the interpretation invariably creates what? Attitude. Attitude. So is our attitude optimistic or is it pessimistic? Attitude. It's the third aspect of the principle. So my attitude was somehow, some way, I'll figure this out. Somehow, some way, things will get better. And you know what? In 1984, they did. I had the great good fortune. I feel such loyalty and appreciation in my heart. Jose Silva, who's the founder, creator of this worldwide movement that started in 1966, he had been mentoring me. I had been working directly with him and his brother Juan Silva. And they handpicked me out of over 1,000 Silva instructors across the globe. There were only 4 people in the world doing advanced trainings, traveling the world. And I became one of those 4, including the founder. Whoa! Admittedly, at first I was like, me? Why me? Well, they saw something in me I hadn't seen in myself. So you see, I stayed true to my convictions. I stayed true to my passion. And I knew somehow, some way things, well, it was 4 years, but it did work out. And that gave me ample opportunity to monetize my passion, to travel the world, to learn so much, and to be able to more easily support my family. So the third component, attitude, if we become pessimistic, you know what happens. We become worrisome. We lose confidence. And if we lose confidence and we think we can't do it, I could never be like him, I could never do that, we give up prematurely. Or we don't even make an effort. Or we don't even take the time. You know this. We've all gone through that. When I was a kid growing up in Brooklyn, New York, We used to hear people say, you can't fight City Hall. And they become apathetic and don't get involved in civil affairs or take any kind of community action to maybe get some reform going. So that pessimistic, worrisome attitude is the leading cause of distress, will cause headaches, will create sleepless nights. And what happens worse is, this is based on science. Let me give you a quick review, the science behind it that's been so well documented. The brain, from a subconscious point of view, from this inner dimension, from those knee-jerk reactions, it doesn't distinguish between what we vividly imagine and what we actually are experiencing. So you got to be careful. It can be your best friend or your worst enemy. And that being said, we know that our thoughts are the catalyst to what? Feelings, emotions. And those emotions cause the brain to release chemicals. They're called the chemical messengers of the body. And those chemical messengers that have been catalyzed by our thoughts affect our physiology, which will affect our behaviors, our performance, the quality of our performance, whether it be if you're a singer and entertainer, your movements, your voice, your tone, your facial inflection, your facial expressions. If you're in sales, if you're in relationships, it'll affect your tone, and it could be the deciding factor whether you close the deal or not. If you're an athlete, it'll affect whether you get injured or not. If you're just involved in any aspect of your life, it affects the higher thinking functions, what's called the executive center of the brain, those frontal lobe activity. And if we become distressed, if we become worried, if we become pessimistic, we shut down, we get overwhelmed, and we don't even bother. We can't think, and we make silly, ridiculous mistakes. Hey, can you relate? Have you been there? We all have. All of us have gone through that experience, have we not? One way or another. So when our attitude is what? When we cultivate hope. So you see, it affects our physiology, it affects the performance and the results. So when our attitude is hopeful, optimistic, maybe, we don't want to be airy-fairy, I agree. So maybe the attitude might be, I don't know how, but somehow, some way, I could figure this out. And when I do, I'll nail it. Now that's not going to happen just because we believe we can figure it out. Part of figuring out, when you have that hope, you're more likely to what? Hire a coach, take some training, do some research, do your homework, do some reading, ask for help. Nobody does it alone. When we're pessimistic, we play Lone Ranger. We're embarrassed to ask for help. We don't. When we're optimistic, and the hope, in fact, a good friend of mine, Mark Robert Waldman, and his partner, Dr. Andrew Newberg, based on thousands and thousands of brain scans, have demonstrated that one of the healthiest things for the brain to promote neuroplasticity, to boost your immune system, to affect performance for the better, is hope. Having the faith that somehow, some way, things can be better. And that attitude of hope will what? Affect our results, the outcome, the performance, your action, which is the fourth component. And my high-tech cards have flown to the floor. So the fourth one would be the result. So again, quick wrap up. In life, it happens. The big S, stuff. And the way we look at that life event, the value we place on it, the interpretation, the perspective, it's the point of power. Why? That is so essential, because it affects what? Our thoughts, our feelings, which affects our attitude, whether it's hopeful, optimistic, where we take action, or whether we get pessimistic and we give up, which will always affect the quality of the performance and what we do. So the takeaway is, what can you do to cultivate a more hopeful, optimistic attitude? You got to get some skills, guys. Come on, you know that. I've been doing this work for a long time, and let me tell you, the game has changed, and you know that, I know that. And those of you who are in this field yourself, I'm constantly taking training. But you got to be careful, because after a while, how much can you absorb? You need time to absorb it. You need to have a coach, maybe. You need to read some books. You need to ask for help. That's the takeaway. Ask for help. Do something. In fact, I'd be blessed and honored to help you with this. You would honor me with it. I offer a program, the Silva Method immersion experience of life and intuition system. It's our foundation program. I hope you'll investigate it. My website is Silva Method of Connecticut. However, anything, do something though. I'd like to be that guy to guide you. However, it's not going to happen because you want it. You're going to need to do your due diligence, some homework. That's the takeaway. Nobody does it alone. We all have coaches. We all need help at one time or another in our lives. So I hope you find this useful and stimulating. Got some thoughts going. I'd love to hear your comments. Guys, if you're resonating with this and if you'd like to hear more, please visit my website, Silva Method of Connecticut or silvamethodct.com. Check us out. I work in Connecticut, in Boston, Chicago, offering classes regularly, and maybe one day I'll be traveling to your local area. And may I ask you just a couple of solids, please? If you're finding this of value, like it, share it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and let other people you know who maybe could benefit just like you, share it with them. That'd be great. I'd so appreciate it. Thanks so much.